There we go. We are live. JahLisa James. All right. Hey, JahLisa,
Hey.
let's do this.
This is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome to the world's toughest podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's world's toughest mudder. Each week, we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the world's toughest podcast.
Welcome back to World's Toughest Podcast. You're listening to another live broadcast from the World's Toughest Mudder community. We are recording live with comments. If you are listening to the podcast version of this and you are planning on running World's Toughest Mudder 2022, you should join that community on Facebook. Go to Facebook, search for World's Toughest Mudder community. You'll see a picture of Kyle McLaughlin on a bouncy ball, one of the penalties from World's Toughest 2021. And when you join that community, you will meet people like JahLisa James. Hey, JahLisa, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good. We were talking in, I guess, mid-December, December 14th. How have you recovered from World's Toughest 2021?
Yeah, I decided to recover from World's Toughest Mudder 2021, where I did 40 miles with doing 40 miles this past weekend at the Spartan Tough Mudder crossover event. So I would say I'm recovering pretty well.
So, okay, so I want to talk about Worlds. We'll talk about Worlds again in a second. But so this past weekend, Tough Mudder and Spartan did the first ever Tough Mudder Spartan crossover event. You were there all weekend long. Tell me what events you ran this past weekend.
So I started on Saturday with the Tough Mudder 15K/Classic, and then immediately went out for the Tough Mudder 5K, and then finished my day off with the Spartan Beast. And then on Sunday, I started with the Spartan Super, ran over to the Tough Mudder 10K start line, and then I finished with the Spartan Sprint.
How many miles total did you run?
It was just under 40. Yeah.
That's a good weekend.
It was a very good weekend. It was an exhausting weekend. It was very warm. The temperatures were in the 80s for most of the day, and there was very little coverage from the sun on the Mudder course, so very hot. Kind of comparable to how Laughlin was, too.
Sure. What did you think of the Central Florida venue?
The Spartan course was very swampy and marshy. I did not enjoy the Beast. It had a 2-mile trek through marsh and swamp right around mile 8, which if you're fresh, it still sucks. It's not that great. But if you've already done 2 mudders before and you're at about mile 20, which is what I was at when I hit that, it was pretty awful. And then the sun started to go down as we were getting through it, and it was very rough. The mudder side was, more like cow pastures and, a lot of opportunities to roll an ankle. But I mean, it was typical of what you would expect on a mudder course.
What was it like the festival area? Was it one big festival area for both brands? How did they have that set up?
They were both combined. I didn't spend too much in the festival Mudder Village area, only because I was kind of running between races all weekend. But they had, from what I could hear, they were doing like competitions on the Spartan side, competitions on the Mudder side. Most of the DJ I could hear was from Spartan, but every once in a while I could hear Greg doing his competition. So I don't really know how much that went. They did have their own separate beer section. So I think it was Mike's Hard Lemonade Seltzer for Spartan, and then the Corona Seltzer for Mudder. So things were kind of separated on that, and I didn't actually see any of the food vendors, just because I just wasn't in the festival very long.
What was the vibe like out on the course? Was it mostly Spartan guys? Was it mostly Tough Mudder? Was it 50-50? How'd that feel?
There were definitely a lot more Spartans who were out on course. Mudder launched a little bit later in the season, and so they had a very small turnout. But there were still a decent amount of people on course, but there were times where I didn't really see anybody.
Okay, so you've run Spartans before. Obviously, you're more of I'd say a Tough Mudder girl. What was was there... did the Tough Mudder feel like a regular Tough Mudder? Did the Spartan feel like a regular Spartan? Or was it like kind of mixed? Did they mix any obstacles at all? Or was it just 2 separate brands on the same weekend?
2 separate brands on the same weekend. There were no combined obstacles. once you started on Mutter, like the festivals were actually, or the start lines were actually on like polar opposite sides too. So once you started Spartan, you were only on Spartan, started Mutter, only on Mutter. And I think only one time I could really see, the obstacles from across the field, but it wasn't too much combination.
What do you think about that? Like, because if it was me, like, I'm not Kyle. It's not great. Like, I'm glad. I don't want to make those decisions he has to make. But it seems like it'd be fun to like put blockness on a Spartan course and do a spear throw, on a Tough Mudder, like kind of mix it up a little bit. No.
Yeah, it would have been really nice to be able to, have some of the people, because I kept hearing people on course saying, oh, I wish I could try Mutterhorn. I wish I could try Funky Monkey. I really want to do Twister and Beater and all the different obstacles. I did hear some people say that they were going to hop over and just try to, sneak on the courses to do some of the obstacles they wanted to do. I don't know if that was allowed because I didn't see very much of it, because you would have people who are running on Tough Mudder wearing their Spartan headbands, and, same thing with Spartan headbands were on the Mutter course. So it was really hard to tell who was supposed to be where.
Even like having like, you can put the start lines right next to each other and have them like kind of arooing at people and oorahing across the way, and have Sean, and I don't know who their start line guy is, but I think if they do it again next year, I think there's some room for some more synergies, as they say.
Yeah, definitely. If they would have had, let's say, like a combination just award or something for doing both, or a crossover event t-shirt, just something, but we didn't have anything. So it was a little bit of a missed opportunity, but we're hoping that moving forward that they'll do that.
Did they talk about doing it again next year?
Kyle says that he likes the idea of them doing it again, possibly not at the Florida venue, possibly not the end of the year, but I mean, I do think I heard on one of the interviews he did that he said they'd like to, and then over the weekend he said that he liked it. So I think they'll try it again. I'm not sure.
I love the concept. I wasn't there. I love the concept, but what I've heard, like, I think the maybe the execution, there's still some room to grow, to improve there.
It was a good weekend.
You ran all 6 events. What was your favorite event of the 6?
I really liked just the 10K. There weren't a ton of people on it, so that was the Tough Mudder 10K on Sunday. I feel like it was actually not that bad of a distance, because I've been on Mudder courses all year. They all kind of start to run together, and I'd only done one other Spartan this year. So Spartans tend to be a lot of, the repetitive. So I did like having a lot of the obstacles just go away as the distances went away. Because you start with the beast and the super and then the sprint. But I think my favorite would have been just the 10K. It felt like it was a decent distance. Just wish there were a little bit more people on the course on Sunday, because I spent a lot of time by myself just because I started in one of the last start waves.
Yeah, Sunday's always kind of a lighter day anyway. But yeah, if you're starting at 11:30, like you might be out there.
Yeah,
waiting for some people.
Very true.
So would you go again next year?
Would I go to a combined event? Yes, I would. Would I do all 6 again, or whatever's offered? Probably not. It's a one and done kind of thing.
That's kind of cool, and yeah, it's kind of a bummer there wasn't like a I did all 6 swag or some kind of a t-shirt with a checklist on the back or something. There was no like crossover merch.
No, not at all.
Well, that's too bad. They know we're good for it. I mean, come on.
I know, right? There's a shirt and they want to put my name on it.
You know what? You joked, but like I got, you can't see. Hang on, I'm going to tilt my entire laptop my entire computer for 1 second. You know that flag thing they made for Worlds 2021 that has all our names on it? It's not a flag, I guess. It's like a towel or something. I don't know. It's a big, whatever, towel-shaped flag or flag-shaped towel, like-sized. Any t-shirts, those t-shirts they have every year with like our names kind of in a pattern on the back, like if it has my name on it, I'm kind of a sucker for it. Like
100% I'm buying it. Anyway. Doesn't matter what it is, my name's on it, I'm gonna buy it.
Right, I'll sign up early, I'll pre-register for something just to make sure my name is in time for the t-shirt, right?
100%.
This will be like Worlds is November 13th. You gotta sign up by October 15th, make sure your name's on the shirt. I'm like, well shoot, like if I'm going, I better get on before the t-shirt cutoff line. So.
Yes.
Hey, so we didn't get a chance to talk at World's Toughest Mudder, but you had yourself quite the year. How was your World's Toughest Mudder?
So this was my third time doing Worlds. I did both Atlanta and then now Laughlin. And my goal was to be on course for 24 hours because 2018, I was in the pit for about 8 hours. Just it was so cold. My body wasn't used to it. 2019, I had an injury that took me out a little early. So I wanted to be on course for 24 hours. That was the goal. That was the plan. And I met my goal. I was on course 24 hours and I hit 40 miles. So it wasn't the, wanted 50 miles, but, 40 is more than I got the previous 2 years. So I'm happy about that.
That's awesome. And then at brunch, you also received some awards. Tell me about your brunch this year.
So brunch was fun. So actually I have some of my things here. So I earned my 100 Tough Mudder. That was the event for World. So I got my nice metal headband. And then I also won.
How heavy is that? Like.
So I was.
You could wear it for a picture, but.
Well, I was told I had to keep it on my head all day. So I had it on the entire time at the bar crawl, and it's uncomfortable to wear all day. It's definitely something that, I had to have another headband on, so I didn't have an indent in my forehead from it. But. Sure. It was a very amazing accomplishment, and I was happy to wear it all night, at the bar crawl, but it was a little on the heavy side. And then I also won Holy Grail champ. So I had the most Holy Grail miles. So, I got an extra bib for doing that. I don't remember what my total mileage was, but overall mileage for tougher, toughest, and Worlds for females, I had the most. So I won Holy Grail champ. And then one that was the most surprising, I honestly did not expect it, and I actually cried when I got this one, was I won a community award. So don't know if you can read it, but it was the community award for personal accomplishment. So the brunch was very lucrative for me this weekend, or the Worlds weekend.
How did you feel because those community awards are nominated by the community?
Yeah,
I think they're actually even voted on. How did it feel to be selected by your peers for that award?
So what's funny is when Sean went up to present it and he started talking, and the names come up on the screen, and it was 2 male names and a female name. And so as Sean starts talking about how, it's someone that he, had known for a while and, had talked to on the phone and so on and so forth. And I was like, Sean, could have talked to anybody. And then he said the word she. And as soon as he said the word she, he looked over at me and Kyle looked over at me, and I literally just sat there and I was like, I don't know what to do right now. And they're like, come up. And I was like, I'm frozen. Like I couldn't move. It really meant a lot because, 2020 was really rough for everybody, but, I feel like it was just especially rough because right before like lockdown and everything happened, my dad passed away. And so losing him, and then the world shut down, and this is after Mutter was going through like the bankruptcy and everything. And, literally my entire world crashed. And then 2021 was just a chance for something new to happen, and just to be able to go to as many events as I did. I only missed 3 for the season. And just to be able to go to the events and see everybody, and then hit the milestones that I did on the course. I got 25 miles at 2 toughest, which that was, something I worked really hard to get in 2019, and I earned it twice. Seattle, I did tougher, the 5K, 25 miles at toughest, and then 10 miles at, for the classic. Just, I had a lot of little accomplishments, and to see that the community actually saw the accomplishments that I did, saw what I'd overcome, and just, I post a lot in the Mutter Minds community and have just been getting a lot of strength from the community on that side. So they kind of saw what I went through and saw what I did on course. And it literally meant the world to me. Like, Holy Grail champ, I was expecting because, I knew kind of where I was in the miles. I knew I was going to hit the milestone with the 100 headband, but the community award literally meant everything to me. And it's one of those humbling moments where for the longest time you don't feel like you belong. Cause I'm not the fastest. I have a lot of endurance and I'll just keep pushing, but to see that people actually have seen what I've done and, appreciate, me being on course and wanting to spend time with me on course and actually voted for me to get it meant literally the entire world to me. So thank you to the community, for those of you who voted. And like that one was the most important one to me.
What are your plans for 2022 with Tough
Mudder? I don't have any plans really set out right now. I do know that I will be at Philly Toughest. That's the one I plan to run. The hope is to pit for Indiana Toughest. I haven't really looked at the Infinity schedule and really any of the other mudders because I'm technically supposed to be moving next month and I don't really know where I'm going to be moving to. So it's kind of hard to plan a race schedule when you don't know what airport you're going to be flying out of or into or any of that stuff. So at the earliest, I think I might be on a mudder course is April, unless, something happens and I decide to try to get on sooner. But I will be at Worlds in some capacity. Don't know what capacity that is yet. It may be just a couple of laps. It may be pushing for another brown bib. We'll decide before the t-shirt cut off in October.
Do you feel like the Holy Grail mileage? It seems, I don't know if it seems like, but no one's ever won that twice. Is that kind of one of the things like you check off and kind of like, okay, what's the next goal? Or is it something you want to get again?
So it wasn't originally the plan this year. When I started looking at the schedule and started planning, because I moved from Florida to Ohio, it was a lot easier to drive to some of the venues and I didn't have to spend as much money flying and I didn't have, as many rental cars. And so being able to have just more of an easier travel plan made doing more events it just made more sense. And so I don't necessarily think I ever want to try to hit that many events ever again. Like it's very, I've done it over the last few years, like over 20 events for a couple of years. This year was over 30 event days and it's a lot, it's expensive. And like, I love the community. I love everybody, but it got to towards the end of the season. I was like, I don't really feel like I need to go to community dinners anymore. Like I've seen everybody like 5-6 times this year. So it does burn you out a little bit.
It's okay to take a breath and like, you know what? That was a busy year. I'm gonna wait till April before I jump back in. There's no shame in that game. So it took me 6 years to get 50 miles. So you had 40 in your third year. You're way ahead of where I was on schedule. So I would say, man, go for it. Get that 50. I pitted one year. You're talking about pitting maybe.
Yeah.
And it's fun, but man, especially once you've run the race, right at the start line, after everyone leaves, the start wave leaves, and it's like 12:05, everyone's gone, and you're walking back. It's like this. You're like, I should be out there. I should be out there. So like, if your legs are good, I would say, man, run for it. Like it's I mean, it's a great race. It's just a great race to be.
Yeah, the thing is, so 2017, I registered for Worlds my first year, and I ended up getting my second back surgery 3 months literally to the day before Worlds. So I was out there, like I'd already had my plane ticket, my Airbnb and everything booked. And it's exactly what you said. It's like I was supposed to be there, but I was literally standing in a back brace watching everybody go out. And, I was doing some media, and just doing pictures and stories and stuff. And it was a little disheartening because in the middle of the night when everyone's freezing and like they're going through the suck and you're like, I'm supposed to be there with you. So I don't actually know how it would be going out and pitting. But then like this year I ran every single toughest and I was looking at some of like the pit swag. Like I want a pit bib at Worlds just 1 year. So maybe not 2022, but it's like, I want just some of the swag. It's things I don't have. And that's how they get you.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm kind of a sucker for a new headband, or like I signed up for Tough Turkey. Like, come on, like Tough Turkey, it's a 5K virtual challenge they did. But you know what? I'm like, hey, it's a new headband, right? Like, it's I'll get you.
Well, yeah, that was the plan. So this is the new Tough Mudder 10K headband. And that was literally, nice. I went to the Florida event. I was supposed to do just Saturday and Sunday on the Mudder side. I literally decided to add Spartan like a week ago. I called a friend up and I was like, hey, I think I'm going to do this. You said that you were going to come to the event. Like, let's see what we can do. And I just wanted to do the 10K because I was like, it has to be a new headband. It's a new distance. It's literally why I signed up. So if it's new swag, you'll probably get me to do it.
In the comments, James Delverde says it's nicer to watch and eat donuts and be warm. Yeah, James, but it's also nice
James
to be out there. Like,
yeah. James pitted for me in 2018 at Worlds, and then he ran. He and his wife ended up running the next year in 19, and so it's like, you have the opportunity to see it, and then it's like, all right, now I have to get out there. And once you've seen it, like, you feel like you have to keep going out. And I thought I was going to be one and done with Worlds, and here I am. I've done 3. Like, I literally signed up after 2019, the brunch. It's like before I left the hotel. So that's how it's been. But this year, it's like I'm going to give it a few months. One of the perks for being Holy Grail champ was the all access pass, so I don't have to pay for Worlds ahead of time. Like, I can wait until September or October before I decide to sign up and actually like get some training in and not focus on doing so many events.
okay, you got that all access pass. Like, so you have for Worlds, you have $500 worth of value. You could or could like you don't have to use it, obviously. But man, if you're going to do it again, now's a good year to do it when they're paying for it.
Yeah.
Charles says, no more pissing Hicks. Now it's Hicks and Liz. Isaac says, hey, guys. Well, cool. So the first race we'll see you back is this April.
Possibly. I mean, I literally just had I just had somebody message me and they were like, hey, Spartan is in January is going to be like really close to the Mutter course in January, like trying to convince me to go to that. And I'm like, maybe, but probably not. So I'm really easily influenced. And if I figure out where I'm going to move soon enough and I can book a flight, like, I'm not opposed to going any sooner, but because I've never done that at that venue. But yeah, most likely April. That's the current plan.
So that January one is, I'm going to be there. That's in Lake Elsinore, and it's it's one of the flattest. It's like Arizona flat. Like, it's one of the flattest venues.
I've never run Arizona.
It's right next. It's I think Arizona's probably the flattest one I've done. I live in San Diego, so I do most like the Southwest, West Coast ones. But if you're looking for a flat one, it's kind of like if you want to bring some first timers, it's a good one to bring them to too, because it's there's no death marches like some of them. But Milk Kowalski wants to say hi, friend, hi, and Mark James says that's my sister. Mark James, your fellow Holy Grail bib champion from a previous year.
Yes.
Ann Clifford has some advice for you. Ann says you should figure out where most of the races are and just move there for the year.
So what I'm currently looking in, there's this program that it's kind of like Airbnbs for apartments, and you can live in an area for like at least 30 days. So I kind of decided I might want to try to like plan where I move based upon like what's easy to drive to races. I just haven't actually planned the time to look into that yet, but I literally have to be out of my apartment in like a month. So I should probably get on figuring that out soon.
That's kind of I mean, if you have if you can pack everything up pretty quick, that could be fun for a year,
Yeah, they cover like all your furniture and your kitchen gadgets. You just have to have whatever you need to survive. So I would just put things in storage. I'm just going to have storage units everywhere. I've got one in Florida with, 2/3 of my stuff from the house that I sold. And I'll have like a third of my stuff in Ohio in a storage unit. And then I'll just drive my truck around and it'll be great. Makes perfect sense, right?
This is not a storage unit podcast, but let me tell you what, those storage unit people, they're like, the first month is free or move in for $1. And you get all your stuff in there. You fill up a garage, basically, all your stuff. And then they gotcha. And man, I was paying like so much. And as soon as I got a house with like a garage, like I was like, the first thing I did was I unloaded that storage unit, like, and canceled. Oh man, storage units. I'm not a fan. They're good to own, but man, I don't want to rent them.
Yes, I understand that.
Well, JahLisa, how can people follow you on social media?
So my Instagram is at Black Lives Mutter. That's MUDDER. And then obviously I'm on Facebook. And if anyone wants to find me, they can add me on there too.
Do you have anything you want to plug or anywhere you want to send people to check out more about, I don't know, anything you care about or anything you want to plug, I guess?
No plugs today.
JahLisa, any last thoughts on the Spartan Tough Mudder crossover, World's Toughest Mudder?
If you have the opportunity to get out and just push yourself, and even if it's just doing one of each, this year coming up or, in a weekend, I definitely say try the different brands. I've done several, other race series as well. It's definitely, I always come back to Mudder. I've done more Mudder than anything. I love the people in the community, but there's a whole nother world out there. And I just say, if you're going to say that you love a certain race venue, you have to try the others just to see what they're all about.
JahLisa James, thanks much.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Special thanks to JahLisa James for appearing on this episode. Well done, JahLisa. This weekend is the first Tough Mudder of 2022. Will you be there? SoCal, I'll be there. First wave Saturday morning. Come up, say hey. Good to meet you. If you're in town, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can shoot me a text, 619-485-2726. Follow the OCR Report on Instagram. I will talk with you soon. Hey, go listen to the OCR Report podcast. I'm over there. Go spend time with someone you love.